think when we talk about what makes stand-up comedy good, and it's about the things that we don't say, and we know that my job is to try to get the most people to laugh as much as they can, and I'm going to do that by tapping into who I am. So, to your question that I've already forgotten, um, is there are things that I wish I could talk about. I just remembered. Yes, and the pleasure of growth and the pleasure of like continuing to improve in stand-up comedy is finding ways to do that. So like, yeah, like I can do about 10, 15 minutes of like hardcore jokes about like using methamphetamine before crowds start to shut down.
Yeah.
And I like it when I can do more. And sometimes later in a set, I'll try to dip back into it and see what I can get away with. But then it's funny because then my joke literally becomes, I'll tell the crowd, it's like, hey, I'm seeing how many of these meth jokes I can do.
Yeah.
And they're like, especially when you're in like, man, like learning how, it's like you got to learn how to not do comedy, like not do your act.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
like,
you're headlining at Nate's right now, right?
Yeah.
At Super Funny Comedy
Oh,
Club.
Yeah. That's
How
so
was
cool.
how was last night?
It was good. The early show was a lot of folks. The late show was kind of light, but that's like classic late show Friday. Also Black Friday, you know, but the late show was good too. But the early show was popping. No, man, I was feeling good. And it's a lot of people that have seen me a lot. Like a lot of my like kind of like friends and fans that came up from Olympia, and some Tacoma friends and fans came up.
Is that the first club locally that's headlined you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you and Nate run like you know each other a while back.
Yeah, I've been doing stuff with Nate. I think 2017 was when we back when it was before it was the Super Funny Comedy Club. He had Nate Jackson's Super Funny Comedy Show, and it was at different locations, mostly Keys on Main, I think. That's the first time I did a guest spot, and then he moved one to Alma Mater. I did a featured there one time.
Yeah.
Nate's been really good to me in like a really Nate kind of way. Nate cracks me up, man. Like he's a special guy. I don't know how he does it, and so I make sure to give him like lots of space, basically, because he knows how much I appreciate him, and especially this opportunity. I've headlined other clubs, but this is by far like the biggest club that I've headlined. So like I have a lot of love for like Savage Henry in Eureka, California. Chris Durant down there. He's been a big part of my development. And same thing like Last Best in Bozeman, Montana. There's a comedy club in Bozeman called Last Best Comedy, and they headline me too.
Yeah.
And then also I have been closing out bar shows since I was like a year and a half in. So
you mainly developed like on the road, getting wherever you can get stage time.
Well, this is a thing. I don't know. This might have been, I think this was a little bit before your time, but I ran a weekly show in Olympia for like 4 years called Vomity. And it was a curated mic with a feature spot at the end. And we'd switch it up and do some different things. Sometimes we'd have like a showcase. Maybe once a month we'd do like a showcase. And that's where I learned really how to do stand-up, was there. Because hosting, especially hosting a show where you have a lot of regulars and coming up with new material all the time, that was it. Like, I always tell newer comics this, is that, man, fast forward on comedy is running your own show, running your own mic, promoting it, doing it. And I did that for a very long time with that show. And that show was very successful for like, it did well.
I saw that like promos for that show before I started doing stand-up.
That's awesome. Yeah. There was some stuff, I was really proud of like, if you ask me like my 5 best moments in comedy, like somewhere in there is like the first Vomity where people came out. But even better than that was the second one, when I was like, oh my God, there's still like a crowd here. And it was this weird, like, it was Olympia. Because it's the thing is like, people don't like Olympia comics, and you think of Gabe Rutledge. Gabe Rutledge is on another level. Like, you should get him in here for this.
He has.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Right,
and Nate, actually.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. Okay.
We did it down at Nate's club when I featured. So.
Oh, dope. Okay. So like Gabe and Nate, it's the same thing. Like, Nate's Lacey, but Gabe's an Olympia guy and he crushes. But wait, what were we talking about?
Fuck.
I'm so bad at podcasts. You know that. Like, I think this is actually the best I've done because I'm really trying to answer your questions.
top 5 moments.
Oh yeah, the second one when people were still there. And then is the thing, right? So like, there are Olympia comics. There are, but they move away. They kind of do their thing, you know. Man, Khadijah Hassan, Nate Wolf, Chocolate the Entertainer, and it's weird comedy too. And like I did Vomity because I had like a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at home, and I'm in recovery. I'm working, I'm like that show saved my marriage because I could get stage time without going to Seattle twice a week.
Yeah,
just go to Seattle once a week and hope she doesn't leave me. You know, like
no, it's a real thing. Like my buddy Damon, he's up in Bellingham right now. He's in college, and he's Damon Lawton, like good dude. And he's like, dude, how do I get better? Like, I'm up here. I got to finish school and stuff. I'm like, well, there's no race. Like, you're not, you should probably get your degree if you've already put 3 years into it. And like, stand-up's not going anywhere.
No.
And he's putting on show. Like, I'm doing a show this week, and it's to create your own space. Like, I do think to develop, you need to be around other comics, both newer ones and older ones, so that you can learn from the people that are in front of you and then give back what you can to the newer people.
Yeah.
But if you're just by yourself, that tends to lead to bad habits. And if you're only around comics all the time, that leads to its different habits.
Yeah. Especially those, I don't know if you've ever talked about like the hustle culture and that kind of stuff. You know, my number one advice to new comics is to take care of yourself outside of comedy. Like, go for walks, keep friends that aren't comics, go to therapy, like all the stuff that, you know, like self-care, like 101, and that doing that will put you in a position for possible long-term success. And also, if you don't love it, if it's taking away more than it's giving, it's okay to stop doing it too. A lot of my favorite comics in the world do not do stand-up comedy anymore. And I know it was really hard for them at first, but it's okay to not do it. And I'm not just saying that oh, this is for me, not for you. This is for whoever wants it, you know. We're basically in an agreement with these crowds that we're going to do our best to be funny and they're going to do their best to laugh, and we can enter and leave that agreement at any time. You know what I'm saying? So all those folks, just chill out, man. It's going to be okay. And I'm saying this too as someone who is not chill. This isn't coming from a place of I've always been so wise. I still make mistakes, man. I doom scroll on Instagram and I'm like, how come Adam's got this gig and I don't? How come they don't book me in Bellingham? You know?
Yeah.
Even you saying that, I'm like, who's this guy? The thing in Bellingham?
Damon Lawton, hit him up.
Yeah, it's an off night show.
Yeah.
I got plenty of off nights.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
I got a show in Everett if you need to do it. I mean, I hear what you're saying completely. I'm just turning the knife right now.
Yeah, I love it.
No, I think I've had that same experience too, where it was starting to just feel man, this is just, it's not fun. And I just got done with a competition. You did that competition. Yeah. You came in second
and congratulations to everybody. If you guys don't know this, Adam made it to the semis in the Seattle International Comedy Competitions, which is probably the toughest comedy competition in the country. It really is. The level of comics that are in that contest year after year is mind blowing.
And you came in second.
Yeah, which is much better than you did. But no, it's all jokes aside.
Well, it led to you getting an album deal with Stand Up Records.
There's no, I don't know if it's a direct correlation, but it led to me believing that I can have long-term success as a stand-up comedian.
Mm-hmm.
And that's more important. More important than the scores was being in front of crowds that size and going from 6 minutes to the semis, which is 11, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then going to like 17 in the finals or whatever we do in the finals, and watching my sets. Like, the judging results are the judging results. And honestly, like, when I was in the contest, even though I swept the first 4 of the prelims. So no matter what, I was going to get first. So I tried to switch it up on the last night to try out some stuff, because they have a drop score every round. And so like I knew that I was guaranteed first place. And in the semis, I think I won 3 of the 5, and I was like, all right. And it was cool because there are a lot of people in my corner that root for me. And like I said, I made mistakes early in comedy, and there's some comics that don't like me, and there's some clubs that don't like me. It's okay. I know that I made mistakes, and there's also things that I don't feel bad about at all. I'm not going to specify which ones are which. But yeah, man, what a ride, like it was. And it was funny. I was taking long walks and listening to weird music and like trying to get out of my head. And like, that's the other thing I learned from that is finding creative ways. I started doing yoga, which I still do, like, I'm like, all right, like if you're going to do this, if you're going to go for it, if you're going to put yourself that far out there, you better be taking care of yourself.
Hey, if you like that video, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and follow our page for new weekly content. I hope you're fucking happy with this, dude. I hate doing this shit.